Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're examining a story that is, well, both tragic and incredibly significant historically. The case of Velma Barfield.
Absolutely. It's a narrative really defined by addiction, desperation, and ultimately a chilling series of betrayals.
And here's the fact that really anchors our whole conversation today.
Yeah.
Velma Barfield was the first woman in the United States executed by lethal injection.
That distinction, it gives her case this enduring weight, doesn't it? Our mission today isn't about sensationalism, though. It's about looking at the hard facts of her life.
Right. Dependency, human flaws.
Exactly. We're tracing her path from a rural North Carolina upbringing through this just horrifying pattern of murders that went undetected for years.
All leading up to her shocking confession and then that final historic punishment back in 1984.
It's a tough story.
It really is, but one we need to explore properly. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start at the beginning.
Velma was born Margie Velma Bullard back in 1932, Eastover, North Carolina.
And the picture we get from the records is pretty much what you'd expect from that time and place. Rural life.
Yeah, financial struggles were definitely part of it. And apparently a very strict father, maybe even harsh.
So, like a lot of young women then, she was probably looking for a way out, an escape.
Seems likely. She married Thomas Burke in 1949. He was only 17.
17. Wow.
And, those first few years, reports suggest they had some stability. They had 2 children together.
But that didn't last.
No, the foundation of that marriage, it started to crack pretty quickly. Thomas developed a serious drinking problem. Debilitating, really.
Which must have put enormous strain on everything. Money, the relationship.
Absolutely. And then, adding to that strain, in the early 1960s, Velma herself faced health issues. She had major surgery, a hysterectomy, and later back surgery.
Okay, and this is where things really take a turn, isn't it?
This is the crucial point. What started as, legitimate prescription medication for real physical pain, it quickly grew into dependency, addiction.
So you've got this awful situation where both partners are battling substance abuse at the same time.
Exactly, leading to financial crisis, chaos, just a terrible spiral.
And that spiral hit just a horrible breaking point in 1969.
Thomas Burke died in a house fire.
And the official ruling at the time?
Accidental. That's what the report said. Accidental death.
But looking back now, with everything we know...
It seems suspicious, doesn't it? This really marks the grim start of the darkness that would kind of consume Velma's life.
And the pattern didn't stop there. It actually sped up.
It did. Not long after Thomas died, she married again.
Yeah.
Jennings Barfield. He was already in poor health, needed a lot of care.
And she was his caregiver.
Yes. And within a very short time, by 1971, Jennings passed away too.
Cause of death.
Listed as natural heart failure. What's really fascinating, or maybe chilling, is how these deaths started clustering around her.
Yet nobody suspected anything.
Not immediately. Her role as this devoted caregiver, it sort of insulated her, gave her cover.
Even after Jennings died, her own issues, the prescription drugs, they continue.
Oh, yeah. They spiraled further. Her own children later talked about this terrifying shift in her personality.
How so?
The woman they remembered as gentle, loving, she became increasingly erratic, often seemed lost in a haze of pills, and always there were money troubles, mounting debt.
So by the mid-70s, she's desperate for money to feed this addiction.
Right. And she finds work that, well, it capitalized on her outward image, caring for the elderly in her community.
Playing the part, the perfect facade of nurturing, supportive care.
Exactly. That was the image she projected.
But the reality, as the evidence later showed, was something far more sinister. Give us the timeline here, this pattern that led to her being called the poisoned caregiver.
Okay, this quiet, horrifying sequence really gets going in 1974. She was caring for Montgomery and Dolly Edwards, an elderly couple. Both suffered sudden, unexplained illnesses. Both died shortly after she started caring for them.
And still no suspicion.
Apparently not. Then, 1976. She's caring for John Henry Lee, an elderly man, the husband of a friend.
And the same thing happens.
He, too, dies suddenly. Acute symptoms, again, no foul play suspected at the time.
It's incredible how she operated under the radar for so long. How did she do it? How did she make these deaths look so natural?
Her method was disturbingly subtle. She used arsenic-based poison.
Arsenic?
Yeah. Added covertly, probably in small doses to their food or drinks.
And the symptoms masked the crime.
That was key. Severe nausea, violent vomiting, intense stomach cramps, weakness. Back in the 1970s, especially in rural areas and elderly people.
Right, you just assume it was the flu or maybe bad stomach bug. or their existing conditions worsening.
Exactly. Influenza, gastroenteritis, worsening heart failure, all common assumptions. Easily mistaken for natural causes.
So combine that with maybe less routine toxicology back then and this high degree of trust people place in caregivers.
It created the perfect cover. Her crimes look like terrible bad luck or just the inevitable decline of old age.
And the money she got, maybe small amounts, taking charge of finances, that just fueled the addiction.
Precisely. It was all about feeding that prescription dependency.
Yeah.
And it does make you wonder, doesn't it? How often might a seemingly benign diagnosis mask something much darker?
Especially when the killer is the one everyone trusts, the caregiver. It's a really disturbing thought.
It is.
So this pattern, it couldn't last forever. What finally exposed her?
The break came in 1977. She started a relationship with a man named Stuart Taylor, a widower from Lumberton.
Okay.
They got engaged, and Stuart made a critical mistake. He trusted her with his finances, significant financial matters.
And Velma's addiction, she couldn't resist.
It seems not. The motive here shifts a bit. It wasn't just about maintaining her supply anymore. It became about avoiding getting caught. She started forging checks on Stuart's accounts.
To cover her own expenses, her debts.
Right. But Stuart started noticing financial discrepancies. He began asking questions, hard questions.
And she panicked, feared exposure.
That seems to be the trigger. That fear became absolute and fatal for Stuart.
So what happened to him?
February 1978. He becomes violently ill, just like the others. After consuming food or drinks Velma had prepared for him.
And he died.
He died on February 3rd. But this time, things were different.
Investigators were suspicious. Why this time?
Maybe it was the financial issues Stuart had started raising. Maybe because he was relatively younger than her previous victims. Whatever the reason, thankfully, they were skeptical. They ordered toxicology tests.
And the results.
Confirmed it. Arsenic poisoning. Finally, a direct link between Velma Barfield and a death.
So she's arrested, and then comes the confession, which was pretty shocking, wasn't it? It wasn't just Stuart.
No, it was stunning. She admitted poisoning Stuart, yes, but then she just kept going.
Who else did she confess to?
She named her second husband, Jennings Barfield, the Edwards couple, Montgomery and Dolly, John Henry Lee. And in perhaps the most difficult detail of this whole case, her own mother.
Her mother, Lillian Bullard.
Yes, who had also died back in 1974, while Velma was supposedly caring for her. She confessed to at least 6 deaths in total.
6 deaths, but they only tried her for 1.
That's right. The state focused the prosecution solely on the murder of Stuart Taylor, probably the strongest case with the recent toxicology.
So the trial in 1978, what was the dynamic? Prosecution versus defense.
It's pretty stark. The prosecution laid it all out. The deliberate actions, the financial motives, the careful concealment over years, the pattern.
And the defense. What could they argue against that?
Their main argument, their core strategy, was her addiction. Decades of crippling prescription drug addiction.
Saying her judgment was impaired, she wasn't fully in control.
Exactly. They argue these were the actions of someone profoundly dependent, spiraling, not necessarily a cold, calculated killer.
Yeah.
They tried to mitigate her responsibility.
But it's tricky, right? Forging checks, administering poison, that requires some level of planning.
That was the prosecution's point. And ultimately, the jury sided with the prosecution. They rejected the leniency argument based on addiction. They saw premeditation.
So the verdict?
Guilty. First-degree murder. And on December 7, 1978, Velma Barfield was sentenced to death.
Which was historic in itself at the time, wasn't it?
Hugely significant. She became the first woman in North Carolina to get the death sentence after capital punishment was reinstated nationwide in '76.
So Velma goes to death row. And the next 6 years of her life, the story takes another almost unbelievable turn.
It really does. The sources all describe this profound transformation in her character.
Oh, so what changed?
She became deeply religious,
Yeah.
devoted herself completely to her faith. And by all accounts, this wasn't just for show.
Not superficial.
No, she became an active spiritual counselor for other inmates.
Yeah.
Led prayer groups, Bible studies. She seemed genuinely remorseful, focusing on the immense harm she'd caused.
And this transformation, this apparent redemption, became the basis for her appeals, right?
Precisely. Her advocates, people fighting against the death penalty, argued forcefully that this demonstrated rehabilitation, this deep religious devotion.
Coupled with her history of addiction, impairing her judgment initially.
Right. They argued those should be seen as mitigating factors. strong enough to spare her life. She actually became quite a prominent figure nationally in the anti-death penalty debate.
Kind of embodying that whole question of redemption on death row.
Exactly. Can someone change so profoundly that execution is no longer just?
But the courts didn't agree?
No, they were consistently unwavering. Appeal after appeal failed. They upheld the conviction, upheld the sentence, the severity of her crimes, that pattern of betrayal. It was deemed paramount.
Her legal options just ran out.
They ran out in 1984.
And so November 2nd, 1984, Central Prison.
Velma Barfield was executed by lethal injection. He was 52 years old.
And this brings us right back to where we started, that chilling historical marker.
First woman executed in the U.S. since 1962.
And the very first woman ever executed by lethal injection. It's incredible that her specific case, driven by addiction, ending in this profound spiritual change, became the one that ushered in this modern method of capital punishment.
The event itself, the execution, was described as solemn, quiet. Her final statement expressed love for her family and, again, deep regret for her actions.
Her story really does stick with you. It forces you to hold these two, conflicting realities together, doesn't it?
It does. The undeniable harm, the systemic betrayal over years, and alongside that, the documented evidence of sincere remorse and transformation in her final years.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for us today? Velma Barfield's case, it just throws up these fundamental, difficult questions about justice, right?
Questions societies are always grappling with.
To what extent does something like decades of debilitating addiction actually mitigate responsibility for horrific actions? It's not an easy answer.
Not at all. And then there's the other side. If genuine rehabilitation, genuine remorse happens on death row, can that ever justify sparing a life? Should it?
It forces that really difficult balance, doesn't it? Justice for the victims versus the capacity for mercy towards the offender.
Very tough balance.
Velma Barfield's crimes were horribly real. Her victims were tragically real. And yet, by all accounts, her transformation on death row was also real.
Yeah.
So here's the final thought for you to chew on. What does it really tell us about capital punishment itself? In this case, a woman consumed by addiction, who apparently found deep spiritual renewal, became the very case that cemented lethal injection as the modern method of execution. That's something serious to mull over.
If you enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into more cases like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like the video if you found the story compelling, and share it with your friends and family who might be interested in true crime and mysteries. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date with all our latest content and join a growing community of curious minds exploring the most fascinating cases. Click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything.